And we're back, folks, right here on WrestleRant every single Tuesday, where I, Graham Gius and Matthews, break down all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network. And today we're talking WWE In Your House 6 from February of 1996, right ahead of WrestleMania 12. So overall, another decent show. I thought it was a bit not quite as good as In Your House 5, which I thought overall was the best In Your House yet, the strongest card to date. But still a decent show when we're out of the fucking 95 era, so here's hoping. We're not out of the clear just yet. There were a handful of pretty forgettable matches on this show with awful gimmicks, but we are slowly but surely getting out of that 95 stench, that terrible stench that was fucking 1995. But at any rate, guys, kicking off the show, Razor Ramon against 123 Kid in the infamous Crybaby match, where the loser had to dress up in a diaper with fucking baby powder. So the match itself was pretty good. As I've talked about, I feel like Razor Ramon and 123 Kid have had one of the better, more consistent feuds, stories, whatever, in the history, in the long, illustrious history of In Your House. This was pretty much the culmination of it right before 123 Kid headed to WCW. Razor Ramon was not far behind, obviously. He left for WCW a short time later in May of 96. Or rather, I think in March, whatever. He debuted in WCW in May of 96. But not long after was he gone as well, along with 123 Kid and Kevin Nash. But still a good opening match from an in-ring standpoint, a good match with an interesting, gimmick, stipulation, whatever. One of the more memorable matches from that era in WWE. And they had good chemistry. They had history dating back to 93 when 123 Kid debuted and beat Razor Ramon on Raw in shocking fashion, obviously. So I enjoyed this. I thought these two have always could really be relied on as one of the better opening acts in Your House history. So I thought this was good, a good match there. Up next, Hunter Hearst Helmsley taking on Duke the Dumpster. That's a fucking tongue twister. Duke the Dumpster Droese. Not a good match. I thought the match that Henry O. Godwin and Triple H had, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, whatever. It's more of a mouthful, so I'm just going to say Triple H. They had the previous installment of In Your House, the the hog pen match, which was actually pretty good. If you listen to that review, I said that that match exceeded my expectations. It was a fun, cute match. This match, far from it. This fucking sucked. Droese was terrible. Thank God Helmsley went over, but this was not a good match at all. Yokozuna taking on the British Bulldogs. So the background, the storyline, the story behind this bout was that Yokozuna had just separated himself from Camp Cornette, and he was breaking off on his own, embarking on a babyface turn. I think he teamed up with Owen Hart right after this. Or no, they were a team before this. He teamed up with someone at WrestleMania 12. I forgot who. Who fucking cares? But Yokozuna, not the strongest babyface. He was not around for long until he was, axed from the company. But this match was not good. Not terrible. Not as bad as I thought it would be. But still not really a good match. It ended after disqualification by disqualification after interference from Jim Cornette, and then Vader came down and annihilated Yokozuna alongside British Bulldog. So Vader should have had a better, he had a pretty strong showing in the Rumble match in 96, but to have him involved in a fucking tag team match at WrestleMania was kind of a letdown after he came in with such a buzz at the Rumble. I know he got that WWE title push later on in the year, and I know he got heat straight out of the gate and being aligned with Jim Cornette, but still, to me, that's kind of disappointing considering how big of a name he could have been for that company as a monster heel. After that, a singles match to determine who would go on to WrestleMania 12 to contend for the WWE Championship, a match between Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart. Every bit as good, as great, as excellent as one would expect, just considering who was involved. Really one of the bigger matches that had that big fight feel to it. Like I said, something was on the line, and one of the first, I think, maybe the first time that the Rumble winner put their title shot on the line. We would see it, years later with Triple H, The Rock. We saw it with who won it in 2015? Roman Reigns. I know we saw it then, John Cena. A lot of these people have put their title shots on the line in recent years, and it all started, I believe, with Shawn Michaels in '96. But for good reason too. These guys had an amazing match, so I can't complain. Owen Hart wasn't that much of a threat after being, like I said, squashed, for lack of a better term, by Diesel 2 months before this at the December In Your House show from December of '95. In Your House 5, but still had a great showing here with Jim Cornette in his corner. I thought these two had a pretty damn good match. Shawn Michaels in the end going over. In a fun finishing sequence, and what made it so great was that a lot like the ladder match that Michaels had with Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10 2 years earlier, it was really kind of the first of its kind. The finishing sequence saw Shawn Michaels go for the Sweet Chin Music, but Owen Hart reversed it, and Shawn Michaels reversed that and hit the Sweet Chin Music in the end to win the match. So Obviously, kind of par for the course in 2016, we see it, or 2017 rather, we see it pretty much all the fucking time, but back then it really was not quite as common, so I thought it was a great finish to a fantastic match. And then it gets in the main event for the WWE Championship, a steel cage match between defending champion Bret Hart and Diesel. Definitely the weakest of all their encounters, but still, Bret Hart has got to go down as Diesel's greatest opponent. I don't know about in WCW, probably in WCW too. I doubt they had matches over there, but I'm including Diesel, Kevin Nash's, WCW career too. Bret Hart has got to go down as his greatest opponent ever. I mean, there's really not a doubt about that. Shawn Michaels and Diesel had a good match at WrestleMania in 95, WrestleMania 11. But all the matches Bret Hart and Diesel had, this was not their strongest match, but still far and away better than anything else Diesel did in 95, other than with the matches he had with Michaels. Far better than the matches he had with Mabel. With the match with fucking Psycho Sid sucked. The match he had with British Bulldog was not that great. This was a pretty good match, I thought. The escape attempts were kind of weak. I'm not a huge fan of that aspect of steel cage matches. You have to escape or no, I don't know. Just rather the pinfall and submission attempts, which I think I don't really know. This match, there was just one part of this match I was just not a big fan of. But overall, still just a good match with an innovative finish. I know we see this all the fucking time nowadays, but Taker came out through the ring, who I guess he had threatened Diesel prior to this match. It wasn't completely random. But he came out through the ring and dragged Diesel down with him to kind of set up their WrestleMania match to allow Bret Hart to retain the title, to go into WrestleMania as the WWE Champion to defend against Shawn Michaels in the infamous, historic Iron Man match for the title. But cool finish. Kept the belt on Bret and set up Diesel and Taker for Mania, which was, again, a better than I thought match. Maybe I thought it was more bearable than Taker's earlier WrestleMania matches, but I thought it was still decent in my opinion. A good way for Diesel to leave the company. But again, not a great In Your House. I thought the In Your House 5 show was better, and I think this is the final In Your House that officially had no title. So starting in Your House 7, the title of these videos will officially be called In Your House. I think it's Bitter Friends, or Good Friends, Better Enemies, whatever the fuck it was called. I'm pretty sure was the title of the next In Your House from after WrestleMania 12. So we'll start with the titles in the next edition of WWE Network and Chill, which I think the next one, I think we do In Your House, Good Friends, Better Enemies, and then Fastlane review. It might be the other way around. I'm not exactly sure, but I know we are getting to that installment of In Your House and then Fastlane 2016 ahead of Fastlane 2017 in early March. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the show. And in terms of this show, should you watch it? Do I recommend that you go out of your way to see it? Not really. The only must-see match is Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart. Bret Hart and Diesel had a pretty solid, competent main event, a lot better than the main events of the early installments of In Your House. Not must-see because they had better matches at Survivor Series, the Rumble, but this was still all right. Still a pretty decent match. So I know Diesel and Taker had also had their interaction at Rumble too, which, like I said, set up their WrestleMania match, so it made sense for Taker to get involved in the main event. I just remembered that. But yeah, still, I thought the opener was good. Razor Ramon and 1-2-3 Kid was good. Helmsley and Drozy fucking sucked. Yokozuna and British Bulldog, not that good. But the two final matches were pretty decent. And I feel like we had a segment of some kind on the show, too. Oh, yeah, we had Roddy Piper come out, the then WWF president, I think on-screen president, get interrupted by Jim Cornette talking about Vader, all this other stuff, and how the match with Michaels will go on at WrestleMania. Bret Hart, or Diesel, I guess at that point, versus Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart won. So anyway, not a must-see show, but definitely go out every way to see the match to determine the number one contender to the WWE Championship between Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart. So that said, guys, I might be getting my schedule mixed up here. Today is, let's see, it's the 14th. Oh, happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, that is. So this is the 14th. The next installment goes up on the 21st. So yeah, next week we'll be In Your House, Good Friends, Better Enemies, I believe is the title of the pay-per-view. And then the next week after that, on the 28th, will be the Fastlane 2016 review ahead of, like, as I said, Fastlane 2017. So that's a schedule coming up for WWE, not WWE Network and Chill. Is that what I said earlier? Fuck. If so, I apologize. But for WrestleRant in the weeks to come. But at any rate, guys, as always, if you want to check out the socials, please do so by following me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant. Find me out on the Facebook page. Find me there at facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews, and right here on YouTube. Like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, share the video. All that stuff is amazingly appreciated. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Enjoy the Backlash, the fallout from Elimination Chamber on tonight's episode of SmackDown. And all that being said, guys, just have an awesome one, and I'll catch you guys down the road.